See this right here? This is a calendar. And it says in the Psalms and the Holy Law, it says, "So teach us to number our days, that we may acquire a heart of wisdom." So here's how to get a wise heart and mind: by numbering your days. More specifically, though, mapping and accurately monitoring and recording and navigating the cycles of life that you are in, and living and operating and winning in harmony with them. Right, so you saw the calendar page. Now, that is a page for one day. And ideally, you would have prepared a page for every day. In the evening before the next day, and during some days, when you sit to write, you would actually prepare a couple of pages for the next couple of days. And this and everything and how this all happens, how much you produce wisely, etc., all is immediately basically sort of automatically determined by the life cycles that you're in at the moment, because that gives way to how much automatically available drive and motivation there even is to do anything. And it's high at some times, and then it decreases at other times, then it's high again at other times. And so you have to utilize the right cycles to begin with to accomplish whatever objectives exist that are legitimate and good in life, when it is the time, therefore, because that's when it is made to happen and actually basically manifested. That's the thing. So now, how do we master everything, and how do we actually have legitimate, superior authority over everything that goes on, so that it works very, very good all the time? How do you have mastery over your life and your destiny right now and forever? It's actually very simple. You have to be wisely navigating and mapping out the cycles of life that you're in, like on this calendar page, where there are certain cycles that have to be regarded. Right, so the key is to monitor and have an overview of the life cycles that you're in. Ideally, every day, with a page and a good calendar for every day. Because that way, during that day, you know exactly what life cycles you're in at what times. Now, picture this page from the beginning of the tutorial video again, and at the top there's like 4 time frames of 3 hours during that day marked out. Those are the 2 high tides and the 2 low tides on that day. And then there's a longer time frame beneath that of 3.5 days that's marked out from a definite starting point to a definite ending point, and that's a long lunar unit of 3.5 days that you're currently in. Okay? And that is either negative or positive for 3.5 days. Always alternates, right? Same thing with the short lunar unit that expresses itself in the form of 2 high tides, basically, or adds up to or works out as 2 high tides a day, 2 low tides a day. Okay, those are 4 3-hour windows that are either basically either double negative, neutral, or double positive, so to say. The combination of the short and the long lunar unit, right? You see that every day, okay? And then you have the daily periods of the cycles of life. And if we zoom out further, you've got the annual life cycle period of 52 days, whereof there are 7. So now, one of the most important and definitive life cycles that one has to monitor as much as possible is actually the complete total lunar cycle that goes on from basically new moon to full moon, okay? Because, look, here's what happens. I'm going to go into detail about that in a second. Still zooming out, there are 9 different cycles of life that should be regarded at all times as much as possible. The daily periods of the cycles of life, 3 hours, 25 minutes, whereof there are 7 a day, right? 7 days makes us strong. Hallelujah. Then, the 3-hour short lunar unit that constantly alternates between negative and positive, and that also adds up to and expresses itself as basically 2 high tides a day, 2 low tides a day. Okay, then zooming out further, you've got the 3.5 day lunar long unit that's either negative or positive, constantly alternates. Then you have this annual life cycle period of 52 days. There's 7 52-day periods in every person's annual life cycle period of 365 days, wherein there's an annual health, business, and personal life, cycle, where it's particularly good for certain things in business, personal life, and health life, right? Okay. Then, further zooming out, you have the simple overall period of human life. Every person's simple overall period of human life, like the longest earthly one, starts when they take their first breath, and it goes to a maximum of 144 years. Okay. And then during all of this, you have a certain soul personality with like certain strengths, things that you're good at, you're predestined to be prosperous with, and things you should avoid, okay? Okay, so there's 9 different ones to monitor as much as possible from time to time, okay? Yet, one of the most important things is that the lunar month, so the 28 day cycle of the moon, yet moreover, one of the most important cycles to actually pay attention to, and the one or the 2 cycles that actually give or equal either increase or decrease in anything that goes on in life, is actually the short lunar unit and the long lunar unit as part of the 28-day lunar cycle. Moreover, though, we're looking at a specific cycle that goes on that basically gives something like the increase in everything in life. The positive increase, and then the systematic decrease, and then what this is it's basically the time frame from a new moon to a full moon, and also basically from a full moon emptying out into a new moon again. So actually, both of these are important. Basically, though, there's one cycle that really has to be paid attention to. Because of what's going on in the universe, the world around us, energetically, there is actually something happening where so I'll explain this now simply. At the exact moment of the new moon, let's start at a new moon, okay? At the exact moment of a new moon, And we're coming up on one on the 18th, actually. Today it's the 14th, so 4 more days. Keep that in mind, right? So on the day, the exact moment of the new moon, what happens is, it seems to be the case that the energy that powers the universe is in a standard, is at a standard minimum sort of a level, and ready to give a certain amount of systematic increase to everything that exists, even in this heavens and earth plane, in this human life experience and activity field, even the physical universe and so on. So at the exact moment of the new moon, right, the hour, like the day, the hour, the minute, the second, what you get is there, everything is at a standard minimum point, ready to, and just heading up on an increasing curve, right? It's increasing now, and it will continue to increase for about, 14 days, right? Till the next full moon. So this includes like things growing, things becoming more, a positive increase. There's an automatic tendency that's universally in effect everywhere during that time between the new moon and the full moon of a positive increase taking place very gradually over 14 days, right? There's an increase till from the new moon to the full moon, to the moment of the full moon, everything has reached a standard maximum level of like energetic volume or something like that. Okay. And then, right on the moment of the full moon, the day, the hour, the minute, the second, wherever you are, check it, right? Everything goes and it gradually, so it goes into a 14-day, was that a 14-day? Yeah, that's correct. 14-day mode of decrease again. So the entire thing, the world around us, based on what the lunar cycle is, between new moon and full moon, and then full moon and new moon, is always in a state, right, of either 14 days of increase or 14 days of decrease. And this has to do with everything, including volume, mass, like what goes on, how much income, how much output, whatever it is. It's like the volume level that creation is at that time. Now, knowing this is really important because, look, I'll give you an example from my standpoint right now. Wherever you're at when you're watching this tutorial, work from your position with the data about the life cycles that you're in your position, okay? Yet from my position right now, like I said, it's the 14th now of January. On the 18th, we have a new moon. Okay. So if you zoom out and look at the lunar cycles that were like the long 14-day cycle, right? What's actually going on is that we're currently, I can use this instructional tool. Since the last full moon happened, right? Things are slowly decreasing till the point of the next new moon, right? At the point of the next new moon, things increase for another 14 days to the point of the next full moon. And then from the next full moon, they decrease to the next new moon again for 14 days. And it goes on like this. What's extremely important to remember is the fact that, look, if you have objectives in life that are legitimate, right? There's a time and a place when these objectives can be achieved and they will be accomplished. Yet, you have to know what life cycles you're in because, look, if you're trying to start something new, right? If you're trying to get an increase, right? When everything is automatically programmed to decrease, then you have to look ahead and look at when the increase starts again. So like as I speak right now, basically picture this in your mind. We recently had a full moon. We're currently like right here before the next new moon happens. Now after this new moon happens, things are going to increase again till the next full moon happens. So we're right here. We have to wait till right here till we actually really launch. See, till we launch new things, till we go on new business adventures, till we get like, you actually have to wait because right now everything is on a decreasing trajectory till it resets at the new moon. When it resets at the new moon, it goes uphill, gaining mass, positive increase for 14 days. You got to wait till this point. Because otherwise, and here's important, and this is the major difference between everything in terms of either winning or losing, right? You have to wait till the right moment to start the thing that it is in life that you're starting, whether it's in personal life, health life, business life, whatever it is, it has to be started at the right time. And if it starts at the right time, because all the time, we're all in certain life cycles, and these are all good for certain things and not good for other things. So it all has to be timed right. If one does this, you're most effective and prosperous. If you don't, then it's like rowing your boat against the current. And to comprehend this and to monitor this on a daily basis is extremely important because it makes life much better, much simpler, much more prosperous, healthier and wealthier, and also easier. You see, to know these things is important because that way you can coordinate your effort in life so that it yields maximum positive results in return and good, like divine rewards and so on. So this is something that has to be monitored. Now I'm going to give you an example of why this is so important. I shouldn't attempt, listen, there's always a certain amount of divine providence available even in negative units, even during a 3.5 day negative long lunar unit, even during a negative short and a negative long lunar unit in a 3-hour double negative lunar unit. There's still life force available and operating. Yet there are different levels to this. And so you actually have to monitor this because that way you can coordinate your efforts so that what you actually set out to accomplish that is good and so on will actually be accomplished. This is the difference. This is what actually makes the difference between, it's as if this is what makes the difference between what actually happens in our life and doesn't happen, what we even make happen or don't. So that being said, that's an important point to remember. You have to monitor the 28-day lunar cycle because of its 14-day basically decreasing or increasing nature. Now, to explain why this is relevant, look, there's the energy that powers the universe goes through phases or cycles in this system, in this heavens and earth plane, earth human life activity, environment, world, right, we live in. And it's legible like clockwork through the lunar cycles. The moon, right, it's like the clock, it's like looking at the clock of what's going on in creation, how it works. And so it goes, there's either energetically masculine, positive, increasing and mass gaining and building up energy, or there's energetically feminine, resting and sort of like, almost like resting energy. Still alive, but it's resting more. And that's in either the positive or the negative lunar units. The longest one, so think about this. If you zoom out now, keep this in mind, right? Like every day. You can operate much more effectively and more powerfully and better than if you don't regard this. Because how do I explain this? It's like trying to launch. Okay. It's like trying to drive a car that doesn't have fuel in it versus driving a car that has fuel in it and therefore it can go. It's kind of like that. So the key is, and one should remember this, is that, see, if you know exactly what life cycles you're in right now, right? You know exactly what it is the time for, whether it's a time for resting or like basic sort of activities that sustain and support and secure life, or whether it's a time for positive increases and things to be launched, right? And then so that those will then yield a positive increase over the next 14 days or so, right? We have to pay attention to this because otherwise you would be laboring in vain. And that's the difference between failure or victory, right? It's like we're right here, right now. There's a new moon right there coming. And on that, like a second after that new moon happens, everything is on a positive increase for 14 days. There will be positive increase between here and there, between this new moon and this full moon point. And at that point right there, there will be a positive increase that will have, whether it's in your personal life, business life, whatever, you'll have gotten something good. Yet, there's still things to be gotten right now too, even while things are decreasing, because there's always positive life force going on. Yet the amount of it is very low compared to when it's on an upswing, right? When there's a positive increase, it's way more than when there's a general decrease happening. And so if you pay attention to this, pinpoint your effort and your energy wisely into the right windows of opportunity in terms of the right wise action being taken by yourself at certain times, you get more and more positive and maximum results out of what you've basically put the work into, gives the best maximum results. This makes a massive difference. Another thing, the thing about endurance, okay? It is said that the race is not for the swift, yet those who can endure. Yeah, that's 100% correct. But see, to endure, you have to know where you are. Because look, you see this? You don't try to go uphill when things are going downhill. When things are going downhill, you go downhill safely. When things start to go uphill again, you go again easily. So endurance has to do with knowing what life cycles you're in, what lunar units there are that you're in, and then you can always be at ease and calm and steadfast and safe and secure because you know exactly what it is the time for. So whatever you're doing automatically, permanently works because you're doing the right thing, wherefore it is a time and wherefore like the energy is available right now and it's supported to be thus. Instead of trying to build a house in the rain, you're building it when the sun is shining. Okay? Instead of trying to go uphill when you're tired, why would you be tired? Not because it's a negative unit. It's not a positive unit, right? When you feel completely super strong, or you actually always are, yet there's a physical universe involved, then that's when you will go uphill. And you go uphill real easy then. But at another time, it's hard. Why? See, it's almost like trying to open a door without a key versus opening a door with a key. Yeah. So this should make sense to all of you. And I hope that y'all will utilize this because it works. And it's actually something, it's also referenced somewhere in the Holy Law. It's referenced, it says, there's some section in the Holy Law where King Solomon, double honors, talks about when he was young, how he sought wisdom and he got it. And then it included the knowledge of times and cycles even. Literally times and cycles, actually. Cycles are hakafot in Hebrew. So this is completely ital and kosher and legitimate wisdom that I'm sharing here, and it works. It's how the universe works. I know because I do it every day, and it works, and it keeps on working, and it keeps on getting better and better. And so should you. So should you have it, right? So be it. Now, look, imagine this, and this is true. 5 minutes, even only 5 minutes a day of a little bit of organizational work in the form of writing a calendar page with certain data, like the new moon, the next new moon or the new moon, the full moon, the short lunar units, the tides, and like, you know, a little bit of an overview of about 9 different cycles of life that you're in, right? Like 5 minutes of work a day put onto a calendar page that includes the, like I said, the short lunar units for that day, so the 2 high tides, the 2 low tides, and the 3-hour time frames before those. So there's 4 3-hour windows you have identified time-wise during every day, and then the 3.5 day either negative or positive lunar unit you're in, right? And then your other life cycles. That makes everything work so much better, so much safer, and increasingly good, and permanently, stably secure, right?